I'm trying the Black Rifle Energy Zero Sugar Veteran Founded Project Mango. And by trying, I mean I have tried it, but I can't remember. I think this is one of my favorites.
Pretty good.
I didn't even know they had energy drinks.
It's got an elk on it. Ooh, this is my new number one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's got an elk on it. We have a code with Black Rifle, Elkshape 20. Get the coffee subscription or just get some good coffee like Just Black. That's probably my favorite. If you're a dark coffee person, man, there's some good ones in there. Also try a pour over, and it's fancy, but it tastes bitter-free coffee. You ever done a pour over, Tristan?
I have not. What do you do when you're hunting?
I do the Black Rifle coffee sticks instant.
The instant ones?
Yeah, and then I also bring my own ground coffee, and I'll do a French press. If that never happens, let's be honest. That would be ideal, but I don't generally do a French press unless, like, for some reason I'm back at the truck during daylight hours.
Have you ever tried the AeroPress thing?
Yeah.
That little thing you, like, press?
Yep.
I've done that a couple times. I like that at the truck.
Mm-hmm. You have an espresso machine at your house?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
It was a graduation / birthday gift for my wife. Just one of it's like the cheapest Breville, which isn't cheap, but
isn't cheap.
No, it's not cheap. They used to be a lot cheaper. Now they're not so cheap, but so yeah, kind of spoiled. It's tough to go do the instant stuff in the mountains, but got to do what you got to do.
You didn't sleep on the couch last night, did you?
Nope.
Did you go to that one place I told you to go to?
Nope.
Why not?
I was up late with the boys last night. I just crashed in the car.
And you still showed up.
Well, you made that story about me, so I knew I had
so
to.
I sold them out. Guys, I threw them under the bus. Go ahead and tell them what I did to you, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So yesterday, I haven't worked out for probably, in any real sense, for probably 6 months. Which, take that for what it's worth. Came out way too hot yesterday. Yesterday was rough. Wasn't feeling too good after. Took a little snooze in the car.
Right after. I mean, workout's over, and you were asleep.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yep.
In my driveway.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize I fell asleep. Like, I was just thinking I laid there for 2 minutes and got up and went and took a shower. But then I opened my phone at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and here I am on Dan's video. Had a couple buddies message me like, haha, you got you. He got me.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, I was laughing.
I showed that one around.
Oh, you did?
So did I. I was showing everyone.
Dude, that was, I'm impressed that you stayed up late with the boys and still rallied again today.
Yeah.
You were there?
That was fun.
That's cool. Who'd you hang out with? We're at Elk Immersion right now, guys. I'm probably supposed to be there right now, but we're taking a break to pod with Tristan. Tristan, how do you say your last name?
Litke.
Litke from Minnesota. Owner, founder of Precision Cut Archery, the world's greatest online archery ballistics calculator.
Yeah. Archery software, archery ballistics software.
Sight tape printing perfected.
Sight tapes. Yeah, all the things. Sight marks, if you're a target guy.
Mm-hmm.
We got like wind drift stuff, arrow performance stuff. You can... we have a newer thing where you can compare arrow weights out of your bow and kind of get a feel for what's my range forgiveness at distance, like how much can my range estimation be off, what kind of kinetic energy am I retaining downrange, stuff like that. That's kind of fun.
Safe to say RIP, Archer's Advantage?
I mean...
Look at the smile on his face. He loved hearing that. I'll say it. I ran Archer's Advantage forever. I'd buy that little thing for $30 a year or whatever it was and try to work my way through. It was so convoluted.
Yeah.
But we could get sight tapes, custom sight tapes, which we needed because at the time, this is back when I used to run a Sherlock.
Yeah. I mean, I used Archer's Advantage for years. That's why.
Yeah.
Kind of why this came to be. And it's fine. Like you got to know the right things to tweak.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have to do the tweaking. Like, I hate having to do the tweaking. You shouldn't have to do tweaking. It should be good data, good output. That's it. And that's kind of the thing. And it should be, like, not a pain.
Yeah.
It's kind of my thing. Like, it should be easy. It should be, like, enjoyable to use as much as possible. I mean, obviously you still got to put the data in there and all that, but
Yeah.
it shouldn't be a pain. I think their arrow building stuff is much more fleshed out than us. Like if you want to put in your vanes and put in your point and see your FOC and see your total arrow weight estimation and some of that, I don't think the spine stuff is accurate, but just in terms of building out an arrow kind of and plotting it out.
What's your background, Tristan?
School for electrical engineering. And then out of school, did kind of some IT-ish stuff in manufacturing facilities. So that in that stage of my life, a lot of manufacturing work happens on weekends and holidays. So I was able to bank tons of time off. They called it comp time.
Yeah.
And then I would use all that in the fall. So I'd be able to take, 50 days off in the fall. So it was perfect for hunting. Ended up kind of, I would say, from a career perspective, outgrowing that position. Didn't want to travel anymore. Didn't really want to do that. Now I have, my title right now is site reliability engineer. So I do a lot of like back-end software engineering stuff, automating processes, writing back-end services that kind of work behind the scenes to help the business function. And then, precision cut on the side.
Do you think you'll get to a point where you'll do something else career-wise? Not precision cut, obviously. That's a fun thing that could be quite lucrative, I think, but not your objective by far. I knew from day one it wasn't your objective. You weren't chasing dollars. But do you think the career-wise, is that what you want to do? Are you happy with what you're doing?
I mean, yeah, I enjoy my job for the most part. I do think, I was kind of planning on or trying to get to the point where I could quit the day job. This spring is kind of what I was targeting.
Okay.
In some sense. But now we're having twins in September, as I mentioned.
Nice job.
Not good planning. Wasn't planned. Definitely wasn't planning on having twins. I was kind of like a 2-kid kind of person.
Well, you're doing that.
Well, we already have one.
Oh, you're not doing that.
Yeah, we have a 1-year-old. So
I didn't know that.
We're gonna have 3 under 3. Or
You're
3 under
outnumbered.
2. 3 under 2.
You're outnumbered, dude.
Yeah. It's gonna be tough for a while.
Ooh.
We also just sold our house.
When?
Ooh. Well, we haven't closed yet. We close in May.
Okay, so it's under contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's a all cash deal.
Yeah.
It's gonna go through for sure.
Then what?
We're looking. Haven't found the right place. We're trying to move back to where we're from,
Which
like
is
the Brainerd area.
Okay.
So be closer to family. My parents are there still.
Okay.
It's just we're like 2.5 hours from them right now. So it's just loading up all the kids and going there and back and forth. It's not ideal.
Okay.
And
you can work from wherever.
Right.
Cool.
Yep. Families with land, so whitetail hunting and stuff. It's a lot easier there for me.
Ooh, I think. Yep.
So
no brainer.
Yeah. So we're looking.
I was wondering, how are you going to work from home with 3 littles under 2?
Ideally have something like this where I have a space that I can do stuff in.
Okay.
Because, the whole, even now, like our house is kind of it's a small house. It's 1 level, 3 bedrooms. It's kind of like big kitchen, living room area, 1 hallway with all the bedrooms off of it. And my office is one of the bedrooms.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of nice. Like you come out for lunch and
get
greeted by the kids and all that. But in terms of focus and not getting distracted, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
You can hear the crying. You can hear the
everything. Try running a podcast for 7 years out of your house and having kids running around, coming in like you can lock the doors and they still break in. What are you doing, Dad? Well, I was podcasting.
Yeah.
This has been nice to separate quite a bit, honestly.
Honestly, having a commute would be as much as it's like, oh, I love the remote work thing. I want to work remote, work from home. This is awesome. I don't have to drive. It's like a 20-minute commute feels just ideal. Just
it is. That's what mine's 27 minutes, and it kind of helps me be quiet, no distractions, be still. And then I almost think about what I got going on for the day. And so when I step in, I have I know what I'm going to execute for the day. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. That's exciting. Yeah. Buying a house is so stressful. Moving so stressful.
Yeah. But we have to do it before the twins come.
Yeah, you do.
Because then it'll be.
So I had Riley get a bow from Matthews.
Yep.
He picked out a RS. He picked the one with the 60-pound limbs plus, so he can go from 60 to 80.
Sure.
He's a southpaw. That video probably is out by now, but if it's not, be on the lookout. It's pretty cool. We have Michael Allman come over. He got 8th at Vegas. He's a stud. Phenomenal archer. We had him build Riley's bow from start to finish. I want it done absolutely perfect, and Michael is obsessed with the details, probably like you.
He's good.
He's legit.
He's a good shot, too. Shot with him quite a bit.
And he's a good human. It's like, I just love the guy.
Dude. He's fun.
So he came over, built it for Riley. I'm going somewhere with this. And so we ended up taking a UV. He's a college kid. He's poor, right?
I don't know. Seems like he's got his stuff together.
He does.
Good.
He does. I'm just saying, like, he doesn't have an abundance of, extra loot. So I gave him a sight. He didn't want to buy one right away. He wanted to spend his money on arrow components, which is what you did.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I got an old UV slider, like Gen 1. We can flip it over and make it a southpaw.
Sure.
Theoretically. And so we did that. And as you know, sighting a UV slider, the middle pin is fixed because it's 3 pins, technically 4, but it's 3 pins. The middle pin's fixed, and they have a protocol that you do. I don't know if you've ever done it, but I'll run you through it. It's middle pin set for 20 because it's fixed, and then you slide it down until you find middle pin at 60, and there's a side in tape that goes on the back side, and there's corresponding numbers. You need like a magnifying or a microscope to see what the number is, and it's kind of ish. And he lives here at the studio, like next door.
Yep.
And so we're windy all the time. And we've had a stretch of weather, Riley, where he got his 20 doped, his 30 doped. And I was like, if you don't want to lose arrows, take your time finding 60, And literally 7 days go by and you did not have one single day where he had like no wind and could hit a horizontal line at 60. Mm-hmm. I mean, you tried, but like you're just like, dude, I can't group. And Riley's a good shot, like really good. He's a slow blinker. He doesn't get excited. He doesn't get down or up. He's like he could probably compete at target archery, So camp comes by and I'm like, you know what, Riley? Tristan's here. Let's just get a sight. Let's just skip finding 60 and go hang out with Tristan. So Riley, tell me about what you thought when Tristan did his voodoo.
So we did I think it's the quick start method. Is that what you call it?
Is that what we did? Yeah, I can't
quick
remember.
start. Yeah, I think it's the quick start. So, because I hadn't shot out to range, we did that. And when we came back to the home range, it was pretty cool for me to go, okay, 20 looks good, move my pins to make them all line up. And then I just went 60, 10. That was in the 10 ring. And then dialed to the farthest I've ever shot by far, 100.
By far. Like, he's never shot past 50 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just dialed right to 100. First shot was in the 10 ring right away. And that was crazy to me.
And that's the quick start method. So explain to everybody what you did with the quick start, because I didn't do the quick start. You did the full thing with mine, but his shit's accurate, dude. It's like stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the quick start only requires a launch speed in terms of sight in data. So sight in data would kind of be like where you'd shoot in a couple marks, measure the gap with a caliper. That's like the OG method. You can shoot in 3 marks, do it that way. You can use the downrange speed method with a lab radar or a Garmin or one of the good chronographs. Or the simplest option is the quick start method. And that's just a launch speed. And we're kind of guessing on kind of what the drag of the arrow looks like based on all the arrows I've seen. And for most people, it's very, very close. Like I would say the vast majority of people will be within a yard on the tape out to 100. A lot of people, it's going to be perfect or very close to perfect. So like I personally ran that method all indoor 3D season. It's like max range of 40. There's no reason to get crazy with a tape out to 150 if you're only shooting to 40. So I ran that all year myself. A lot of people use that method. Like all you need to do is go to your shop, or if you have a chronograph, great. But if you don't, go to your shop. They can probably help you shoot through a chronograph. Put your bow on the draw board, get the couple measurements, and you're good to go. So it's literally 5 minutes to a usually very good tape.
Yeah. So if you have a draw board at home,
which everyone should make one. or get one.
Because you made one for like $30, you said?
Yeah.
What parts do they need?
A Harbor Freight boat winch.
Boat winch, check.
Which is probably like $20. I have like inch steel pipe, like a 6-inch piece of steel pipe that's threaded, and a floor flange that threads into, and then that's like the thing that holds the bow.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wrapped it with like vet wrap,
Okay.
so it wouldn't like ding up
Right.
the bow. And put the boat winch on the other side, and it's a little bit janky. I have had it like, I thought it was locked, and it wasn't locked. And it like the handle smoked my hand because it's not like a it's not like a worm gear type system. So it's not ideal. If you upgraded your winch to something a little better, it'd be a little better.
But essentially, you're getting this bow at full draw. Cams to rotate all the way over to the stops.
Oh, there's one other key piece. A turnbuckle, I think is what they call it.
Yeah.
The thing with like the 2 threads on either side. So you can like get within a quarter inch of your stops.
And
then turn the turnbuckle
with your hands.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, guys? I hope it does. So you're getting it as close to the stops as possible, and then you're manually with your hands
twisting it
to get the last
eighth
little
of an
bit.
inch.
Which is what I do with my little drill motor set is get it close and then take the drill off, hand thread.
Has anybody ever with those drill ones went way like accidentally
For sure.
blew the mods off?
Probably.
I was real like cognizant of that when I was using those.
Yeah, I have been too.
I like those draw boards though. Those are slick.
Yeah, so Josh's draw boards, I think they're out yet. I don't know. Podium Archer, MFJJ, Josh Jones created a draw board that's pretty cool. He's been working on it for years, and then like an idiot, he said, let's pre-sell them 1 year ago. And he sold, I don't know, 300. Those guys still don't have their draw board, but hey, he got it. It's dialed. They're shipping now. So if you want one, I strongly recommend it. It's a time saver and a really cool design.
I think I'm going to get one.
And it pairs with your last chance easy green, it's great. But you need a draw board. You can take your bow and get it all the way to full draw, and you're going to put your arrow in, and you're going to take a couple measurements. What are they?
So the first measurement is your peep to arrow measurement. So that vertical distance. So center of peep to the center of the arrow. So I usually just use a tape measure. You can use calipers. It kind of can make it easier to line it up, I guess, and then just see what that reads. But tape measure works great. One hot tip is and I saw people in the shop doing it, so I was happy to see that, is to burn the first inch. You know what that means?
Yep.
So just burn the first inch so you can hold that 1 inch
Exactly
line
where it is.
on the thing right in the middle of the peep.
We do the same thing when we measure ATA.
Sure. Yeah.
Right,
because that like the part
little metal part at the end of the tape.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Yep. Exactly. So that's the first measurement. That measurement is the most critical for it's the most critical for the short marks. So kind of that 20 to 30 and then anything inside of 20.
Interesting.
That peep height is super critical.
And it's going to be like 3 or 4 inches for most people, somewhere in there?
Yeah, I'd say like 3 3/4 is very typical. Like Michael has a real short peep to arrow measurement.
Yeah, your facial structure changes from person to person.
It's all personal.
Our buddy Jake Webb, he used to work for Elkshape. He's got the smallest face ever. So like that number's always really short.
And it's a bummer because that's also the number that makes you be able to shoot farther.
Further distances.
So if you have a short peep to pin, which like you don't want to sacrifice comfort, but you kind of want to put your peep, if you want to shoot far for fun, you kind of got to put that as high as is comfortable. So you
or
can
grow
shoot
longer
far.
arms or shoot a lighter arrow. And the only reason we're going over this, Tristan, is because I get so many messages about, I can't shoot past 90 yards. Any tips? It's like, yeah, grow longer arms. Move your peep up, or go away from the Ranch Fairy arrow. And
those are kind of the options.
that's not a shot against Troy. I like Troy a lot. I'm just saying, like, you can't have a super heavy arrow and you shoot past 100 usually, unless you got long dong draw length or your peep height's high, or you're pulling back an insane amount of poundage. It's just so good. So then the other measurement is peep to pin.
Yep.
How do you get that precise as possible?
So I usually just put kind of jam the tape measure up against the pin.
Mm-hmm.
So it compresses that thing on the end of the tape measure.
Yep.
This measurement isn't quite as, like if you're a 32nd of an inch off, it's not as big of a deal.
Interesting.
I mean, still be as good as possible. And then just back to kind of the center of the peep.
Yeah. And then total arrow weight.
Total arrow weight. So
And
that's the
then-
bow. The bow is those 2 measurements. The arrow, and I'm using like the terms that we use in the application. So the bow is just those 2 measurements.
Yep.
You hit create bow, boom, your bow's there. Then you add your arrow, which is just total arrow weight for us. And then the third step of the process is the sight in.
Yep.
That we talked about with the quick start, the
I will
2 mark,
say
the 3 mark, etc.
I have a Garmin and the Lab Radar, probably because of you. The Lab Radar, there's no messing around. Like, there's no moving the Garmin into the right positions because you're shooting at 80 yards past it and you're trying to get that arrow to whiz right by it and get the Garmin to catch it. The Lab Radar is like, arm it, put in your doodah stuff, shoot it. It's the fastest way possible. It's clunky.
Yeah.
It's big and bulky. The microphone that comes with it attaches terribly. Tell everybody what you did on your microphone attachment. I think it's pure genius. And maybe explain what it is too, because you can't assume everyone knows what a Lab Radar is. And what's their price? They've come down, haven't they?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Lab Radar is a maybe 8-inch, 10-inch, square-ish
Yeah.
piece of plastic that essentially can measure your arrow as it flies downrange. So you're not like a normal chronograph just gives you the velocity or the speed at the position of the chronograph. The Garmin does that. Any of the optical chronographs, right? It's using the light screen. It's just giving you the arrow speed right there. The Lab Radar is projecting like a radar cone or a radar beam downrange, and it's tracking that arrow as it flies. So usually you can get to 60, 65 yards. Like this week, I used 65 the whole time. I was getting consistent readings out to 65. And well, we can take those, like we just take those velocity readings, put those into the program to kind of work backwards to get to the drag of your arrow, which is the critical thing for a accurate sight tape. So all that to say, the Lab Radars like that, they've been around for a long time. I don't know how long, a long time. And with a gun, so the radar has to be triggered, and it's triggered by sound typically. So like with a gun, it doesn't really matter because it's super loud. So if you're doing like archery or like air guns or things like that, or like a suppressed 22, for example, you kind of you have to trigger the radar with something.
Right.
So basically it looks like a microphone. It's technically not a microphone. Like I've tried to like take just a normal microphone, like a
Lapel mic or whatever.
lapel mic and plug that in. It doesn't work.
Okay.
I think it's more of like a vibration sensor
Oh, interesting.
sort of thing. I have some parts to try to make one and see if I can make one.
Oh, that'd be cool.
But I haven't got around to it. So anyway, it plugs in just with like a 3.5 millimeter auxiliary jack into the thing. And then they used to sell an archery trigger. I think that's the one you have. It has like a, I don't know, plastic clamp that you like twist.
That you will break. Yeah.
And it'll for sure break, or at least mine did in like the first 5 minutes.
I don't even know where mine is. I know where my Lab Radar is, but since I moved into the studio, I'm like, I'm gonna have to look for that mic. Which one did you get? Can you just buy it off their website?
So they sent me a couple of so I guess long story short, they quit making the archery mic. I think because that clamp was a pain and whatever. The air gun trigger that they sell is the same mic, or I've heard the microphone piece is the same.
Okay.
So what I would do now is I would just, and this is kind of a hot tip for people, if you go and you're buying a Lab Radar and you're looking for the archery mic and it's out of stock, it's because they've kind of quit making that. So I think you can still buy the air gun trigger.
Okay.
I think it might be worth checking with they're pretty responsive to emails or calls. But I think you can take that air gun mic and then do what I did, which is I took the little microphone piece and I zip tied it to I don't know what it is, like a 2-inch spring clamp.
From Harbor Freight.
From Amazon.
From Amazon.
My first one was from Walmart. Then I found some they're actually the same orange as the Lab Radar, so it looks like they were made together. But that works super slick. You just clamp it on the bow real quick. You're not messing around with twisting the thing and trying to get it to stay, and then it falls off while they're shooting and all the things. So that's what I did. And so that when you shoot the bow, triggers a vibration sensor, which triggers the radar to get the reading. That's kind of how it works.
Okay.
Now you can put the lab radar on what they call Doppler mode for
Yeah.
a trigger.
Yeah.
And that tries to trigger without the microphone thing. And it does okay. I have a lot of people say like, oh, you don't need the trigger. You can use the Doppler mode. You can. It seems to be a lot more touchy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll give you some weird readings. It'll miss readings. But if you take enough shots, you'll get enough readings to where it'll start to make sense.
Recommend the vibration mic. Honestly, everybody. And if you're not going to buy a lab radar, get the Garmin. It just takes a little bit more time. Like you need to get your launch speed, probably, depending on what method you use. Bottom line is you're going to shoot some arrows, probably at 20 and 60 or whatever you end up doing.
Yeah.
I remember back when this was like early on. So was this 2 years ago or I can't remember. It's all blurry.
I
But
think a year ago.
I remember putting the Garmin at my old house and trying to get readings at 80. The further, the better, I thought. And so I was like trying to get readings at 80. Eventually, I was just aim for my Garmin. And this was before your buddy came out with that plate to protect it.
Yeah, you had the... everyone was commenting that you were doing without any... You had no protection. You were just sending it.
And I was like literally aiming for the Garmin, kind of, the top of it, and whizzing by and I'd get it reading. But essentially, one of those two will be easier than the sight-in system. But the marks is fine, guys. You can get a 20 and an 80 and a caliper. There's human error when you have a caliper, right? But not by much.
Yeah. And I guess one note on that, if you're shooting in marks, one thing, like people always want to do like a 20 and a 60 or a 20 and 80. One thing I always suggest is I really don't like to see that first mark for sure any closer than 30.
Yeah.
And 40 is better. Because 20 is so tough to get a precise mark. Because
unless you're shooting a Vegas face.
And even then, like
you
can move your
think
sight quite a few clicks and stay in the same.
That's probably really good advice. I think you learned that, Riley, when he gave you the sight tape. Because you're like, where should I put it on now that you've printed me this sight tape? And he's, because you're like, I think I got 20 perfect. And he's like, I don't care about 20.
Yeah.
Go reconfirm where like 50 is, and then put your sight tape next to against 50.
Yeah. I had everyone do pretty much 60, all the campers here. 60 or further.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was just surprised with how easy the process was, because in 5 minutes I went from never having shot past 40, never having used a slider, to I shot to 100 in the 10 range, and that's pretty remarkable.
You're a good shot, but I mean, it just makes things so much more fun, and it saved you so much time.
Yeah.
You got to skip the UV sight-in method, which is great. It's pretty cool that you created this. Do you think you have the capacity to go to the tax and have a booth at all the tax? Like, how's that going to work?
I would like to. I'd like to do the same thing that we did this weekend. I think it'd be sweet to do that at a tack.
It would be, because I would be a customer. I'd be like, hey, man.
Have to bring some staff probably.
I'm hot here.
It was hard enough to do the amount of people we had to do this weekend. But yeah, that'd be sweet. That's definitely on my radar. It's not going to be a thing this year. I think this year's going to be too wild, just life-wise. Yeah, definitely on my radar to figure out how to do that. Plus, just be a good...
How many would you like to go to?
I mean, all of them, I guess, if you could. But
is there 20-something?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
But, I mean, who knows? Like, it might be the thing, too, where if I do hire some people, like, they could go to some or whatever.
Yeah. My wife said I can only do 2 a year.
That's fair.
Which is great. I mean, that's great. Last year, she only let me do 1. And the year before that, I did like 3 or 4 different tacks. And I love it because it's like, it's our audience, first and foremost. For the most part, I'm sure there's people there that don't know about Elkshape or care to or not a fan. That's cool. But there's a bunch of cool people that are into the same stuff we're in. Shooting bows, shooting foam, geeking out on sight tapes, building a tack arrow, and trying to get ready for bow hunting.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. My favorite tacks, I haven't been to all of them, not even close now, but like the San Antone, still one of my favorites. The one I want to go the most to is PA, by far. Like, not even.
Is that still the biggest one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got, I mean, without a doubt. And then Big Sky is no more.
Yeah, they moved it, didn't they?
To Red Lodge, which Big Sky was a push for us. And now Red Lodge is even more of a push. It's just pretty inconvenient to get there.
Sure.
I wish Riley was a pilot.
Well,
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
yeah, I think Red Lodge will be pretty easy. They have a nice little airport, so
Let's fly.
we will.
We just need a plane.
Yeah.
Comment, message, DM Riley. If you let him borrow it, we'll rent your plane, but we need a good deal. But I think we should. I just don't want to spend 11 hours in the truck if I'm not going scouting or hunting. Do you know what I'm saying? But so we'll do Red Lodge and we'll do Utah. Will you be at either one of those?
Not planning on it at this point.
Okay.
But who knows?
I think it would be such a good business move to have a booth and just show people what you do.
For sure.
Which
Just
is cool.
a time thing.
And then so I had I would call a competitor of yours over to the house. His name's, is it Mike?
Lucas.
Lucas. Oh my gosh. Sorry, Lucas.
Palmer.
Lucas Palmer. Good dude. Smart dude. Geek. You guys would probably be best friends, actually. You know what I mean? And he had sent me a message about 6 months ago that he had an app for doing. And quite honestly, I was like, cool, dude. Awesome. Let me know when it's ready. And he didn't really need it. I have yours, and I know how to use yours a lot. I've made a lot of videos on YouTube about yours. I've just built a lot of side tapes so fast, and they're just vetted. It works. And then good on him. He followed up quite a bit and finally like pinned me down, and I was like, all right, fine. I'll download it. Doing test pilot or something on an iPhone.
Sure.
Checked it out. I was like, hey, man, honestly, this is just out of my league. Can you come over and show me? And he came over. We ended up making a YouTube video and a podcast. And I really liked Lucas a lot. Like, he's just a good dude. His is only on an app on your phone, whereas yours is, at the moment, only web-based.
Yep.
Is that the best way to describe it?
Yeah. And there's kind of a reason for that from my perspective, or like why. Because like that's been an ask from day one.
Really?
'Cause everyone wants a mobile app, right? Like
Okay.
a lot of people don't even have computers.
That blows me away.
Yeah. And like, granted, like the website is mobile friendly. I did a lot of stuff on my phone this weekend.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't have my computer by me. So, I mean, it works. Like, websites on a phone are a pain regardless of how nice they are.
Yep.
But, the reason for that from a development perspective is the speed that I could do things.
Right.
It's so fast in the web world. Like, if somebody emails me with a bug, which has happened, like, depending on what it is, I can fix it in 5 minutes, say refresh your browser, and they're good.
Yeah.
In an app, you're talking week plus of lead time.
Oh, wow.
Depending on how you're doing things to get through, because you got to get through the App Store review process. You got to do all the steps to make it live. It's so slow.
And
so my theory,
Android code is a different.
depending on what you write in,
Right.
there are some languages that you can do both.
Okay.
But in general, yeah, like you write an iOS app and you write a totally separate Android app in general.
Wow.
So it can be a lot, right? That's a whole nother thing is if you write the iOS one, you're catching, well, maybe more than half, but not much more than half of people. So it's really just speed of development, being able to crank features out faster. I personally think a lot of this stuff is best done from a computer, like printing with a real printer, I think is ideal.
Yeah.
They're better resolution. The scaling can be controlled a lot more precisely. Just in general, like serious things should be done on a computer. I feel like it's just so much easier to not typo things. It's bigger. You can see what's going on. But all that to say, I totally get a lot of people don't have computers.
That blows me away. But
Yeah. So all that to say, speed of development, and then my stance was kind of like, okay, once the feature set's kind of worked out, once I kind of know, and you know, like it's like in the early days of launching, it's like you don't know what's gonna be the things that people care about. What we're gonna have to change. Like, does the bow arrow sight in concept make sense to people? Maybe not. Maybe we got to change all that. And it's so much quicker for me to change that.
that makes
in the
sense.
web world.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of at that point. I feel like everything's real stable. Everything, like there's very few bugs. Like feature development's kind of slowed down. I'm still doing a lot of things, don't get me wrong, but now I'm circling back and working on the mobile side.
Hey guys, Joe here at Initial Ascent. I'm going to interrupt the podcast real quick. Dan doesn't know this, but I'm going to interrupt it. Hey, if you guys haven't heard, there's a buzz out there right now about Initial Ascent, and it has to do everything with carrying heavy loads more comfortably. If you've never tried our packs on, you need to come check it out. We actually have the ability to hang the weight on the sides, which allows you to stand more upright, It's going to absolutely save your back. If you haven't checked it out, come try us on initialascent.com.
Elkshape training, check it out. Head over to elkshape.com, click the link, give it a shot. It's month to month, pay as you go, stop when you want. This program is programmed by yours truly. I'm a strength and conditioning coach who is passionate about elk hunting, and I write the programming as a periodized approach so that you peak September 1. I also take into account that you might be hunting throughout the fall, so we have several phases in our program, from density to interval-based to sports-specific, that builds you up a metabolic engine, injury resistance, and the proof is in the pudding. Please try our program if you're looking for something to do in your home gym or at a commercial gym. You can follow the app from the website. So head over to elkshape.com, click the link on Elkshape training, check it out. It's month to month, pay as you go, stop when you want. Separation is in the preparation. GoRuck makes these rucksacks that you can beat up and abuse. If you're going to do some ruck training like we do over at Elkshape training, we hit it pretty hard June, July, and August, getting ready for the fall hunts. Or if you're like building a home gym, the first purchase should be a weight vest. A simple 20-pound vest makes every exercise under the sun that much harder, and it costs very pennies on the dollars compared to a whole set of workout gear. So body weight lunges, pull-ups, push-ups, hiking, running, walking, that's where a weight vest comes in handy. We sell all that over at elkshape.com. Go ahead and check it out and get to training. September will be here before you know it. He kept talking about, Lucas, kept talking about this one number. It was a coefficient.
The drag coefficient.
The drag coefficient. And then he was talking about turbulent versus
laminar.
Does your stuff do that too?
So we do it a little bit differently.
Okay.
Where we're looking at, like, the thing that we're doing with the radar data is we're working backwards to that number.
Mm-hmm.
Or the thing we're doing with your shot in sight marks is we're working backwards to that number.
Okay.
I personally don't believe from the radar data, from the things I've read, like I've read probably a lot of the same studies that Lucas has. I don't believe it's either like the two numbers that he kind of has in there. I think it's like somewhat of a continuum in terms of what the drag looks like. Now, there is like a magic thing that happens when you happen to get a laminar flow. I believe that the laminar flow doesn't really happen in real life because the arrow is oscillating.
Yeah.
And that disrupts that. So I would say for pretty much every single arrow in the whole world that's shot out of a bow, not out of an air gun, or an air thing, which is what they do in a lot of those studies because it's easier.
Right.
Pretty much every arrow is going to be very turbulent.
Isn't it amazing that we can take arrows and put them into things on purpose from a long ways away, knowing that how much oscillation, dynamic, spine, how much the arrow does so much stuff. I'm kind of showing this way, like
it's
number of veins. Like, isn't it insane?
Yeah.
To really slow
With a
down.
high degree of precision too. I mean,
Insane.
150, 170. A lot of those guys at the shop can get clearance out to 170. I think the one guy is shooting 170, like over 170.
Yeah, Michael.
And like, I don't know if Michael can get 170.
He's got a
well,
little.
he was doing it. Yeah, he has his dot on the bottom of his scope.
Yep. And they have that giant moose where they can kind of like throw prayers and.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm not like 130 is kind of like my threshold. Anything past that, that's just my limit. Like, I don't really have a desire to shoot past 130. And I think we should talk about long distance shooting in practice and why we do it. I think a lot of people, I see comments, and some of them are just legit. They're like, why are you guys shooting so far? Like, is that something you're doing to get better at like hunting? Is that how far you shoot at an animal? And it's like, oh my gosh. First off, every animal is different. Every situation is different. And we're talking about terrain features. We're talking about prevailing wind, thermal winds. We're talking about elevation, density, all this stuff going on. So that goes down the rabbit hole of it depends. And also, like, we shoot really, really far to make shots that we would take that are in our effective range seem chip shot closer. For example, these guys came over today to work out, and they're here at 6:30 drinking coffee in the studio, and somehow they asked me, like, what's the furthest you've killed an elk at? And I was like, 79. And I was like, and only reason is like the stars aligned. It was like the most no wind, perfect shot. Animal didn't know I was there. I could not get any closer. But I'd say even, let's include 79, my average distance on several elk for 25 years, but my average is still like 28.5 or 29 point, you know what I mean? Like, we bow hunt to get close.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on shooting way past where you would on an animal to make that seem more effective in a chip shot?
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a factor. I think a huge factor for me is I just love it. I love that, like, 2-second pause before your arrow smacks foam or smacks the rock next to the foam. Like, I absolutely love it. Like, it's just fun for me.
Did you take that 125-yard shot on the rabbit?
Yeah. I got cocky because the previous night, there's the bobcat and the rabbit right next to each other.
And both have ramifications if you miss, right?
Oh, yeah, your arrow's gone.
You're done.
Almost for sure.
Yep.
We were at 132, and I smoked the bobcat, smoked the rabbit. I was like, sweet, this is awesome. Next day, I think I broke 3 arrows on the rabbit on that rock. Mm-hmm. There's like a rock right under the rabbit's head, and it was perfect the way the wind was. It just you would have had to hold quite a bit to the right.
Yep.
And that was only at 100 the second day, so it was just
isn't that crazy?
It was bad shooting, but
there are good days, folks, and there are bad days.
Yeah.
I only show my good days.
It's just fun. There's definitely a thing of there's definitely a thing of it makes the close shot seem stupid. Like,
yep.
You shoot at 130, 60 feels like just nothing.
Yep.
And then the other thing that I always come back to is the follow-up situation. Even if you're like 60 yards is my max, I would never shoot past 60. I would never shoot past 40. That's great. What if you put one in the guts and he runs out to 120 and stands there? Man, would it be nice?
Wouldn't it be nice?
Wouldn't it be nice to be able to send another one and just be done with that
and
not have a long night or a long 5 days?
5 days, yeah. So Riley, the furthest you've shot's 100?
No, we shot a little bit further. Michael, Bodie, and we shot. I want to say the Badger was further than 100. I think it was like 117 or something. But I was matched out. Like, that was. I was questioning clearance at that point.
You putting cock vein down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow.
And I was 2 inches right, but that's my error, that wasn't a bow error, I don't think. I'm pretty solid on windage, so I wasn't happy with that one, but it was still very close. I was happy with that.
Riley and I are 50-50 on whether or not we're going to make it down to Utah at the point of this recording. But we can probably tease or hint a little bit of what you got cooking up. And I'll let you talk about it because I'm sure you're better at sharing just enough, but not too much.
Boy, I'm not sure what the correct amount to share is.
Err on the side of poquito versus...
Sure. So we're working on, with some parties, we're working on trying to quantify what matters for arrow drag, essentially. So how can we really what everyone wants is we want an arrow with as little drag as possible that still has the broadhead we want and that can still steer the broadhead that we want. So, right, you're trying to like minimize vane as much as possible, probably minimize. You don't want to shoot something that just has a ton of drag. It's going to wind drift more. It's going to slow down more at distance, all that. So I think that's something that pretty universally everyone...
Could be louder.
Yeah, exactly. So we're looking at, I don't remember how many combinations. I think it's in the neighborhood of 20 vanes, 20 broadheads, arrow lengths, arrow diameters, a whole bunch of stuff. And we're going to measure it with radar indoors at a long distance and try to figure out what matters. Like, is a 4mm worth it? Are you saving anything by going to 4mm? Or would you be better off going with a 5mm because they're virtually the same in terms of drag?
Yep.
So that's kind of the goal of the project. In my experience,
1000% anecdotal. I think I have less wind drift with my 4mm arrows, which is why I hunt with 4mm. And
Yeah.
I'm just not having to hold off much like I would with 5 or what do you have? You have Sonics?
Yeah, Sonic 6.0.
So that's 2.46 arrow?
That'd be whatever the one below that is. I think it's like 6mm. 6.5, I believe, is like standard.
Right.
That's 2.46.
So you're a 6mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So whatever that is in
I don't know
America.
what it is.
But yeah. So I think you're going to see a little bit more wind drift than I would with my 4mm.
Right.
I'm not sure if there's more penetration or not. I couldn't argue for or against. But
Yeah.
you know, we'll
So
see.
I kind of went I shot 4mm for years.
What was your favorite 4mm that you did during those years?
I don't know. Probably the VAP SS was my favorite one I shot. But so I kind of, after doing some of the radar stuff and looking at, I ended up just going to 5mm. Like it didn't feel like, and it wasn't apples to apples comparisons. Like in this thing that we're working on, we're gonna try to make everything as apples to apples as possible.
And I think that's important.
Right. So this is just two kind of different arrow builds that probably had different veins and whatever. And it's like, oh, they're pretty much, they're very similar. So I don't know. I don't like half outs or outserts.
I feel you.
And it's like, oh, I can run the hit with a collar on the 5mm and use standard broadheads. I was sick of using deep six. I shot deep 6 broadheads for years, and it limited me to basically iron will for fixed, and I shot severs for mechanicals, and those were kind of what I shot.
Yeah.
So I have a lot more options now with the standard heads, obviously. So that was definitely a factor. So I don't know. We'll see how it pans out, but I will say Bodie and I were comparing wind drift stuff last night because he's like, oh, I bet my arrow is the most efficient of anyone here. So I was like, oh,
because he's got those
those
23 air razors.
He's got 4-fletch 23.
90
I think
degree.
they're 4-fletch.
Yeah.
Air razor 23s on a Axis long range. I don't know what I think he's got the Easton half out and the Easton point probably.
You got an aluminum half out from Easton. Yep. And his configuration is a slight offset, and it is 90 degree 4-fletched.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure I have quite a bit more oomph than him, just being a 2.5 inch longer draw length.
Okay.
I'm only shooting 70 right now. He's shooting 75. So maybe we're close-ish, but he had less wind drift. Like we did it at 100 yards and his was 13 and mine was 15. So in theory, that means, again, it's not apples to apples. Because
you're saying inches?
Inches.
You
that
guys
was like
both aiming for the same point of impact?
Well, that was based off the radar data.
Oh.
I think he guessed.
The radar data will give you that?
Yeah.
Bro, do tell us more.
So once you have your bow and your bow arrow in sight and in the application, there's a wind drift page. So you go to the wind drift
I didn't know
page.
about this.
There's probably a lot more stuff that since the last time we talked.
That's why we're doing this.
There was a bunch of stuff. Yeah,
That's
wind drift
sick,
is
dude.
one.
Okay.
And wind drift is kind of a estimation. The one thing I want to clear up about wind drift that I hear all the time and it drives me nuts. People talk about the side profile of the arrow.
Okay.
Right? Like, oh, the wind hits the side of the arrow. That's not how it works for a fin stabilized projectile, which an arrow is. So when you shoot an arrow into a crosswind, right? I'm sure you've seen it. The arrow angles into the wind. So what the arrow is doing is it's just like shooting an out of tune bow.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's coming out not aligned with the airstream it's traveling to, and it has to like correct. So it kind of fishtails around and kind of eventually straightens out.
Yeah.
But with wind, and that's like why, like in gusty wind, it'll look like my arrow flight's terrible. But it's because it's like it's trying to align with the wind. So the arrow aligns with the wind as it comes out. And then once it's aligned and kind of that oscillation, that fishtailing is dampened out, it's just now aligned with the airstream it's flying through. The airstream it's flying through is the sum of its forward velocity plus the wind from the side.
Weather
so
veining, right?
Yeah,
Call it
exactly.
weather veining.
Yeah, we'll call it weather veining.
We have it in aviation too.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. So like if a plane flies in a crosswind, right, like the plane is slightly angled into the wind.
We crab over, and then on the like if you're on the ground taxiing and you're in gusty winds and you're not paying attention to what you're doing with the yoke, you have a chance of the plane will turn by itself into the wind because it naturally wants to weather vane into it.
Exactly.
And so if you're not paying attention, you can flip an airplane.
Yep. Or you can flip an arrow.
Yeah.
So what that means is once the arrow is aligned, now the air that the arrow sees is directly down the point again. So all you have at that point is aerodynamic drag. So the best way to look at wind drift doesn't have anything to do with the side profile of the arrow. It's purely aerodynamic drag. The same thing that we use to calculate the sight tapes and the marks and everything else, we can use to do the wind drift. Now, there is, or what you might say is, okay, well, what about the part where it's aligning? Because right away, yeah, the wind is hitting the side of the arrow so that it aligns, right? Which James Park has some study. I don't know if you're familiar with his. He's like out of Australia.
I've heard his name mentioned.
He's
Yep.
been on Dudley's podcast
Oh, he has. Nice.
and things. And he's like a PhD in archery, basically.
Sweet.
So he does all sorts of research stuff. And you have to pay for his papers,
Yeah.
which obviously I have.
Yeah.
But he's done some like trying to quantify that and say like how much of the drift is due to that like while it's aligning,
Yeah.
and then how much is due to aerodynamic drag. So he called it alignment drift plus aerodynamic drag drift. So I'm only doing the aerodynamic drag portion. So probably my numbers are slightly low.
That makes
because
sense.
you kind of would have to add what it's
Account
doing.
for the other. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also where the higher FOC does help you with that for
So,
what it's worth.
Like we'll have to. You
With an
keep going in
arrow,
a second, but I don't want to forget FOC. I want to come back to that.
We can touch on it.
With an arrow, what are the different types of drags you're looking at? So you probably have the aerodynamic makes sense. Do you have an average for parasitic drag or anything like that? Or
Pretty much just aerodynamic drag
Okay.
for our purposes. Yeah.
So back to FOC then. You said a little greater FOC front of center, that's weight up front, folks, will help be less influenced by wind drift. Is that what you're saying, sir?
It will help minimize the drift due to that alignment part
Okay.
because the vanes have more leverage, right? So the arrow does align easier.
That makes sense.
So same thing if you shot an out of tune arrow, the high FOC one is going to kind of align quicker because the vanes have more leverage.
Right.
Or you could increase the vane size. That would be another way to accomplish the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Have you found a sweet spot for FOC in all your stuff?
I don't care about it really.
Thank you. What else to say about that other than
I've kind of tried to think about this because like there's kind of a trend, right? Where like the target guy, pretty much all the target guys are like FOC doesn't matter. Shoot a low one.
Whatever.
And like a lot of them don't like the high ones.
Right.
And I don't think that you could argue that a high FOC arrow stabilizes in flight easier purely because the vanes have more leverage. Like that's pretty simple. The vanes have a longer lever arm. They can align the arrow more quickly in gusty wind, if the bow is out of tune, if you torque on a shot, etc. But I think there's a thing that happens when and I haven't found anything to quantify this. I haven't figured out how to quantify this. But if you're trying to push, so like a bow fires by pushing the back of the arrow.
Right.
And if you're pushing something that has like a whole bunch of weight out front, it's going to be a lot easier to change kind of the power stroke and like make that power stroke not perfectly in line with the arrow. So my kind of belief is that a high FOC arrow is more forgiving in flight, but less forgiving in launch. Like I believe it would be easier to stand at a piece of paper with a high FOC arrow and be getting slightly different paper tears with the same arrow. That's kind of my theory. I don't have anything to back that up. I haven't done any testing on it.
Yeah, but in theory, I mean that we're just talking logically. That kind of makes sense. My problem is that I'll get messages. First off, I'm not an archery expert, so like I'm like, guys, why are you messaging me? Like, because I have a YouTube channel and make this stuff. Like, doesn't mean I know anything. I'm an average shooter, and I try hard. So I'll get these messages that are like, dude, I'm at 19% FOC. I really wanted to go drop down to this setup, but that setup would only leave me with a 13.5% FOC. What do you think I should do? And I'm always like, go test it. And I have a lot of setups that are at 13% FOC that are doing great.
Yeah.
You know, so help me help people who message me about FOC nuance. Like literally they're splitting hairs about this one only has 14 and this one will have 16. I think I need to go with the 16 because of some number.
I honestly don't have a strong opinion about this.
Okay.
I've ran arrows from 10 to 20 and haven't really noticed any difference.
Okay.
I do just anecdotally feel that the 20 percenters get more touchy from a tune perspective.
Okay.
Not that you can't get them to shoot bullet holes, but just that they're more touchy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you make a little, like where you're shooting a group at 70 and they're hitting good, and then all of a sudden you have one that's a foot in the dirt or something with like a fixed blade. You know
I
what I'm
have
saying?
like this sliding scale that I try to tell people is like the better you are at archery, the deeper I think you can dive into rabbit holes.
Yeah.
The worse you are at archery, I think the least you should dive into these rabbit holes of spine alignment, knock tuning, FOC, like just shoot your bow.
Yeah.
Film yourself, get your mechanics dialed, get repeatable, get a coach, spend your energy on that. And then once your abilities get up to there, then kind of maybe figure out which rabbit hole you want to dive down first, but just shoot your bow, have fun. Archery's so cool.
Shoot
and
at 130. It's awesome.
check out Precision Cut Archery. It's freaking awesome. All right, let's transition a little to the.
Can I ask a quick question about FOC?
Oh, sir, don't ask me because
What-
I don't know.
Is there any speed change when you change FOC, even like to 2 to 3 FPS?
If you can change FOC independently of changing your total arrow weight, like that's the problem, right? Is
Right.
usually if you're adding weight in the front, you're adding weight to the whole arrow.
Right.
So if you could somehow magically add weight to the front without adding weight to the whole arrow, I don't think it would really change anything from a launch speed perspective.
Because I mean, and I'm just transferring from what I know in aviation. I'm not super familiar with archery, but our 4 components are going to be our lift, drag, thrust, and weight. Is it the same type of thing you're looking at with an arrow? The thrust being the bow, pushing the arrow. The weight, of course, being gravity like normal. The lift being probably the vanes and the broadhead, creating some sort of lift. And then the drag, of course, the drag.
Yep. So for the purposes of the ballistics portion of this, like it's really just gravity and aerodynamic drag. That's
Okay.
really what I'm looking at from a sight tape perspective.
Well, and thrust too, because like draw weight and all of that, you add that component into it.
Not actually for the ballistics part.
Oh,
Like,
really? Okay.
From the ballistics part, like we don't care how the arrow gets to 300 feet per second. We just care that it's
Okay.
at 300 feet per second. If
That makes sense. Yeah.
What is your feet per second on the bow you're shooting out here right now?
295,
What's your draw length?
29 and a half,
Total arrow weight.
427.
Is that similar to your hunting setup?
This was pretty similar to my hunting setup last year. I think I was 416 last year,
Okay.
but I didn't have an elk hunt either.
Right.
So I tended to be a little bit heavier if elk were on the menu.
That's cool.
But
yeah.
I had a lot of, all my hunts were like prairie hunts last year.
Yeah.
So I went for lighter and went for the range forgiveness piece.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the other side of that coin, so a little bit of theory on kind
Love
of
it.
choosing an arrow weight. For me, it all comes down to hitting the target, right? Like that's the thing that everyone says. And like that's right. Like you need to optimize your setup to put the arrow into the lungs. That's what kills the animal. I don't care if it's a 600 grain arrow or a 400 grain arrow. It needs to be the thing that you can put in the lungs at whatever distance you're shooting. So speed helps with that from the sense of you can have more error in your range, right? Like
Yeah.
You have more range forgiveness. Your danger space is greater. You can be 3 yards off at 60 and stay in the lungs. So that's great. So speed wins for that for sure. In terms of like outside of like tune and like, oh, my bow just likes this arrow and I shoot it amazing for whatever reason. Outside of all that, from a ballistics perspective, the other side of that for me is wind.
Mm-hmm.
And in wind land, weight wins. A heavier arrow drifts less.
The end.
The end.
Yeah.
So I think that's the balance
That makes
for
a lot
me
of
that I'm
sense.
trying to weigh.
Yeah, I had the option this year. I built Easton 5.0s with the match grade setup, which I think I really like as far as a 16 grain hidden insert. Easton designed that. They have the trademark, patent, all on that. The collar, which I think they kind of got from Iron Will. He's kind of, or Ethics. One of those two guys might have been one of the first ones. I'm not sure
who did it first.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
But it's got the collar. That's just such a good marriage, as you alluded to earlier. Total arrow weight is, without a lighted knock, 410. With a lighted knock, 419.
Yep.
It's pretty light, right, man? That's pretty light. And it's about 305 feet a second. And then my other option was what I ran last year, which was an X10. And I'm not talking broadheads right now. I'm just talking total arrow weight. The point's going to weigh around 125. So my broadhead will be 125. Typically go with, someone asked me yesterday, why do you do 125 versus 100? And I just told them, essentially, I'd rather put those 25 grains into the broadhead versus the component.
Sure.
If I can steal from Peter to pay Paul, I want to steal from the component and put it in the broadhead. Is that science backed? No, that's just my redneck logic.
Yeah. To a certain degree, you got to do it. Makes sense in your brain, right? Like, it's the thing that you believe in, what you have is a big factor for sure.
That's it. And the other option is the 4 mil, but it comes out weighing 455 or 456, which you built me a sight tape for 2 days ago. Probably going to go with the 456 for elk. It's just that extra 40, 45 grains makes me feel better.
What's your speed on that one?
Do you remember? It was like 285.
For which one? The
X10
5.0s?
Parallel Pro.
Oh, that. I thought you were further up than that.
No.
So that's 40 grains.
45 grains.
So you're probably 15 feet per second difference from your
305 to 285. That's 20. Yeah, 20 feet a second is what the difference was.
Okay.
I think I'm quoting the launch speed. I hope I'm not quoting the 20-yard speed.
I would guess it would be more like 290.
Yeah, so maybe it's 290 launch,
close.
285 at 20
Yeah,
yards.
I was thinking it was 291 is the number I remember seeing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so like you said, felt 15 grain.
I would shoot that.
Yeah.
Just me personally.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the thing is, like, there's not a whole lot of difference in anything between a 410 and a 450. Like, that's not a very big percentage.
But to me, I'd like to go, I just want to stay up there, and that 440 to 460 has kind of been the sweet spot for me for elk.
Yeah.
I've killed a lot more elk with north of 500. Well, I used to shoot FMJs, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess the 5.0s would probably be my tack arrow or my antelope arrow, like prairie, you know?
Yeah.
And then when I switch to elk, it's going to be more like that. Where I wanted to end this conversation is kind of the title of the video that we were trying to come up with for the YouTube video we made with him. I want you to check out. But basically, you should be prepared to break up with your sight tape periodically. Tristan, take it from there. That's my setup.
Yeah. So a little bit of background. Everyone here this weekend, the first day or the second day, I guess, they tore apart their whole bow and they started up from scratch. They put new strings on, they built it up, retuned it, and then came out to me and made a sight tape. Every single one of those sight tapes is probably not right anymore because they just put on new strings, and new strings do not stay the way that they were, like, period. I don't care what string they are. I love gas. I run gas myself. They still move a little bit. Last year, my bow is stable from like a launch speed perspective, and it's easy to test this. If you have like a Garmin or a chrono, like, test it. Shoot, if you're 291 today, test it in a month. Are you still 291? Probably not. Not exactly. Might be 289 now.
I can't wait to test mine. I have those gas, was it Gas X?
System X.
Or System X or whatever. And so I had gas strings on, bow season, 81 pounds. By the time we went to change strings, I was like 76 pounds.
Exactly.
And I was like, seriously? And so we threw these System X on, twisted up those cables quite a bit, and I haven't tested it since. And I can tell you right now, I guarantee it's gone down because I pulled that bow back so much easier than when the first day we did it.
Yeah. So I've got on the twisting up the cable part, because we all do it. And most things, like almost a lot of the people here at camp, they were under spec from a weight perspective when they were all done. Like, you almost always have to twist up those cables a little bit. And I talked with a string maker about this, about like, why does this happen? Because the same thing happened to me last year. My bow was stable for a month. I went on a week-long antelope hunt, came back, I lost 6 feet per second.
Doesn't that drive you nuts?
Like, it's been good for a month. Like, yeah, it's hot, but it's hot at home too. But I guess it's not as hot as antelope hunting.
Right.
But what they explained to me is that when you twist the cables up, you're putting more twists in the part of the cable that isn't served.
Mm-hmm.
So there is more twists in the part of the cable that's not served than there is under the serving.
And there's not that much, right? When you look at a cable and the part that's not served on Matthews Lift X, more of it's served than not.
Yeah. So you're putting a lot of twists into the little parts that aren't served.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's fine. You put it on, it seems fine. Then you go in the heat.
Yep.
The wax heats up, the serving wax heats up, all that heats up, and the twists equalize along that whole length of cable underneath the serving.
Yep.
So there, boom, you lost all that stuff and it's also for timing. It's so frustrating too, because you put that half twist in, you have it just perfect. I really like those little, I think Conquest Archery makes them, the little timing. You seen those, a little metal, like hourglass shaped?
I need some. I always make my own with like the inside of paracord. I'll pull a part of it inside paracord out and look at my bow right now. You'll see I have my own homemade spacers.
Okay. Yeah, I really like those metal ones because you can.
Who makes them?
I think there's a couple of them. Conquest are the ones that I have, I think.
You
think
just
it was like a Dan McCarthy thing.
Okay, yeah, that's Dan McCarthy. Okay, I need to buy those.
Yeah. So, one, you can get your timing on, and then two, when it changes that little bit, you just pop in the next size spacer, and you're back to money.
Really?
So, I think that's the problem with twisting up the cables. So I actually I get my cables a little bit shorter than what spec.
Mine as well, right?
Right, because I twist my stuff up anyway because I need a little bit extra draw length typically too. So if you don't, then that's fine. You just might be a little bit under poundage potentially.
As you twist up cables, you are lengthening your string. Like you're increasing your draw length. You're not decreasing it.
Yes, which I got in an argument with Bodie about that yesterday.
Well,
he's like, "Oh, my draw length is nice. Like it's shorter now." It's like, "Wouldn't your draw length be longer?"
yes.
And he's like, "Oh yeah," but then we decided it was because the holding weight was more, so it just felt tighter because he had a little bit more.
I hate
holding
archery.
weight. I know. So there are some things you can do though with the cable thing. One, I think some guys at the shop were talking about this too, is leaving your bow in a draw board overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Because at full draw, the
Cables are under
force
tension,
on the
right?
cable is way, way more.
Yeah.
So that helps. And you can also do the hot car method. Throw your bow in a hot car and let that wax kind of work its way out.
I found them. Oh. I'm buying these Conquest Archery One things right now, spacers. End time, cam timing, $11.99 to $19.99. Choose your color. What color should I pick? Don't I want to be able to see these? And
I just got the black ones, but
okay, we'll go black. And these are one size fits all,
they
right?
are tiny though. So if you drop them on this black floor, yeah, you might appreciate.
Okay, let's
something
go.
bright.
Is there white? Let's do white. And then
And they'll blend in with all the little specks.
how many do I need to get? 2 sets?
I think I just have one set,
I'm going 2.
but you have more bows than me, so
Maybe yeah.
you definitely have more bows than me.
$17.98, and I would like to use PayPal. All right. So in summary, date your sight tape, guys.
yeah, we
and
got off track.
honestly, I'll give you an example. Tristan's here. I'm like, man, let's make me a sight tape for tack. Well, when's tack, Dan? Into June, dude. No, that's way too far out. It's freaking April 1st, April Fool's Day, bro. You don't need to be making a sight tape today. So much is going to change between now and then. And I was like, oh shit, you're right. So for tack, make your sight tape week of.
Yeah, or maybe a little. I mean,
If you
couple
want,
weeks, if
couple
you want
weeks.
time to test it. If you're shooting in marks, like if you're doing if you're shooting in a 40 and 100, and you don't have a hunt or something you need a tape for, maybe just spend the time shooting in those marks.
Yeah.
And don't even worry about a sight tape. Back when that was the way, I would just print my sight tape 2 weeks before hunting season after dialing in my marks kind of all year. Maybe just having a factory tape or a a rough one on there so I could shoot different distances, I guess. But yeah, stuff changes on bows.
Stuff changes on bows.
And the nice part too is having the freedom to, like, I always felt like when I had my tape money and I was like you don't want to touch anything, right? Like you don't want to tweak your peep height. You don't want to change your D loop. Like you don't want to touch anything because it's like, oh, then I got to start the whole sight tape process over and do all that again.
Which sucks. Is there any way we can get people listening to this pod or watching it on YouTube right now to dabble with your, like, do you have a trial or what's your little thing that you offer? I can't remember.
Yeah, so everything's facilitated through precisioncuttarchery.com. It is a yearly subscription. There's a 14-day free trial currently, and the current price is $36 a year. So go on the website, sign up, get a 14-day free trial. If you don't like it, cancel before the 14 days is up. You won't get charged. If you do like it, welcome aboard.
Awesome. What's your Instagram and all that stuff?
Everything is Precision Cut Archery across the board. Instagram, Facebook, if that's your thing. We do have a YouTube channel that has 0 videos on it.
What's wrong with you? Time.
Busy.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming all the way to the elk immersion. I guess we'll maybe until next time, but day 1 we cut up an elk.
Yeah.
That was freaking awesome.
It was.
I'm going to do a whole podcast on just that. Day 2, we broke down everyone's bow, like gutted it, new strings, tune, new sight tape with you.
We did probably 40 sight tapes that day at least.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun.
Freaking awesome. And then day 3, we started doing our station rotation. So some folks, everybody will get their chance for that day, but everyone's day looks different. We just split everybody up. So one group's with Bodie and MFJJ working over form, fit, function, third axis. And then their afternoon is with hunting full, e-scouting, tag allocation, on-X. It's just crazy how much information is flowing. The next group is with Joel Turner all day, which is what Joel requested. So shot IQ classroom, shot IQ on the flat range with where you're printing tapes, and then shot IQ on the 3D course, just a full day with Joel, just filling your cup, conquering target panic, getting your systems, getting you loud in your head. Day 3 is with us.
Yep.
And I don't remember what our group does first half of the day. They're doing it right now. But in a little bit here, we're going to go do, I kind of just read the room and answer questions about elk hunting, specifically on public land, kind of get them brainwashed into some stuff that has worked well for me. And then we go out and do the stress test, and then we do some shooting competitions for some cool prizes. And then these guys also go to Phelps Game Calls, is doing an elk calling instructional. Honestly, for 5 days, like, we've never done this format. I'm so, like, we've finally figured it out. This is year 7 of me doing camps. And
what did the camps back in the day look like?
Dude, the very
weekend?
The very first one was just a weekend, and we spent 90% of our time working out, going over training, because it was back when Elkshape was really just about fitness, not
Sure.
And we just do like Q&A, and then it just evolved. Then I would bring like Josh Jones into the mix, and we'd add like tuning and stuff and broadhead selection. And then I met Joel, who brought Joel in, and then we teamed up with OnX for the e-scouting, and then hunting full, and then Phelps Game Calls. And so it's just like, it's just built itself till now. I feel like we finally found our sweet spot, which is,
I mean, I feel like in terms of like core skill set that an elk hunter needs, you have an awful lot of it covered.
yeah, that's the goal, is to be maybe copied, but not duplicated, meaning other people can try to do what we're doing, but we have it dialed, and that's cocky, right? I'm not trying to sound cocky. I'm just saying, like, it's taken us 7 years to figure out this formula and to get the right people. It's always about people, and we have the right people in place. So right now, I'm really proud of what we're putting out, and I always want impact over everything. So, like, I don't even care if these guys get an elk or not. I mean, I really want them to get their first elk, and most of the people here are elk virgins. There are some experienced elk hunters, but I want them to change their life. I want them to be more healthy, be more fit, be more just a better person outside of archery and relish in the fact that they are an archer, they are a bow hunter, they are a hunter, and be proud of it. So I want them to meet each other at this camp. I told them at the beginning, I don't know if you were there, but I was just like, look around. This is like-minded people. It's hard to find people like this, let alone get them all in the same place at the same time. You introverts out there, which I'm introverted, believe it or not, you can't be introverted for the next 5 days. Make connections, make friends. These are lifelong friends and potentially your new hunting partner. And I feel like I'm seeing that. What are you seeing after hours? Are you seeing these guys hanging out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a big crowd at the fire till pretty late.
Good.
The last, I mean, there was maybe 6 of us at the very end, but
So you closed it down?
yeah, closed it down.
Who's closing it down with you from this camp?
Well, we got Josh going, so it was a good time.
MFJJ?
I have a video of him standing on all the pallets on top of the fire. So that's probably my favorite video of
The pallet dance.
the pallet dance.
Yeah.
Has he done that before?
No, I've
Oh,
He didn't go
yeah.
to college, so like he never got to be like a frat boy or like go all out. He's worked his whole life, and like I like make fun of him. I'm like, man, you didn't get enough attention from your father. I always jab him with stuff like that because he comes alive when there's a bunch of bros hanging out.
Yeah,
like
it's fun.
It kind of makes me smile because it's like I'm glad. I want people to see that side of Josh too. Like, yes, he's a world-class expert on stuff with bows, but dude, he likes to let his hair down kind of. And that's good. Dancing on top of pallets and
that was fun. It was a good time.
So we're doing, or is it 2 camps next year? Potentially.
I'm willing to go to Tennessee at Josh's other shop and do one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to do 2. If Joel and Josh want to do more than 2, have at it. Like they can do it, but I'm not sure what they're thinking. But I'm comfortable with doing 2. I don't want to leave my family, man. Like I already leave enough hunting wise, so I've decided that less is more for me. And we charge a lot for this camp.
What time of the year do the details trying to come out on that? Like the fall
No.
or winter?
Yes. Winter. We just got to pick dates that have decent weather here
Mm-hmm.
and decent weather in Tennessee, you know, and not conflict with people trying to do summer and stuff like that. Like we did last year here in July, it was 108.
Yeah. I feel like this is a great time of year for it.
I agree.
You still have tons of time to get ready if you're not quite
Mm-hmm.
into shape or into shooting shape or all the things.
You can make adjustments easily, right?
I mean, it's been a little bit rainy and chilly, but very doable.
Which is good for the stress test. I will say that. It's nice that it's not like 108 for
Yeah.
the stress test.
Yeah. You need to come do the stress test.
All right.
You'll crush it. Guys, this is our friend Tristan. He owns Precision Cut Archery. Dude's a baller when it comes to stuff. Reach out if you have any questions to him he's pretty responsive, so probably Instagram.
There's a text number. There's a number you can text on the website. You can email me.
Just hit him up with any of your questions. He's got a servant's heart. He wants to help. And he's a good dude, and he came here all the way from Minnesota just to help these campers out. Separation is in the preparation. Thank you, Tristan.
You bet.
We'll catch
Thanks
you on
for
the next
having me.
one. You bet.